Hi guys and girls, welcome back to collectingmosin.com. I'm Riccardo and today I have the pleasure to show you the first of the rifles that we will review together. And cause this is the first, it must be an M1891 rifle. Welcome back to the channel. First of all, I have to say that all firearms I'm presenting on the channel are safe and unloaded. So there are no live ammo in this room and even outside this room, inside my house. As you can see, the chamber is clear, is completely empty, and yeah, we don't have ammo here. Uh, if I will show you in the future cartridges, that will be just dummy cartridges to show you some particular function related to the Mosin Nagant rifles. What I have here in front of me, it's, as I said before, an M1891 rifle, and this example has been made in 1895 at the Tula arsenal in Russia. What is special about this example is that it still retains some of the so-called early features that are characterizing the first production of this kind of rifles. So if we are looking at this example, you can probably immediately see that there are no sling slots. So the stock is basically, it doesn't have any sling slots, and the sling swivel, there are basically one on the magazine and another one is attached to the front barrel band. And this is one of the so-called early feature I was mentioning before, and this one in particular was characterizing the early production till more or less 1910. So starting from the bottom of the rifles, we will see all the details. But before we start, you probably already saw a couple of other Mosin Nagant rifles here on my table. And yeah, I will spoiler a little bit what I have in front of me. Basically, it's another M1891 that it still retains the first type flat rear sight, pretty rare, something that is unusual to see today. And the second one, it's really even more special. It's a German captured, it's a World War I German captured example, and this one it's wearing a modification, an adapter for the German bayonet, and the basically the reason I have those rifles here on my table, I will show you later, but basically it's to show you some of the features that in 1895 probably were on this example, and right now, after probably a refurbishment process that took place around 1908, 09 probably, but basically are not present anymore on this gun. So let's start. Starting from the butt plate, we can see that the serial number, the barrel serial number, is stamped in the middle of the rear plate, and this is matching the first production. So during the first production, the serial number was stamped there. The upper portion is showing just the Tula hammer and nothing more. Moving along the stock, we can see that the cartouche, the Tula cartouche, a beautiful one, is still there. It's marked 1895, and the Tula hammer is also visible just above the Zaristigel. Just moving, we can see that there are no sling slots there. There is no sling slot, and this is coherent. And then we are approaching the central portion of the rifle. Now the bolt is completely Tula marked. You can see at least a couple of Tula hammer stampings, and what is basically matching also the early production, it's the style again of the serial number on the bolt. In the rear portion of the bolt, it's not matching the barrel in this case, but the bolt, it's a Tula produced bolt, early production. So yes, the number it's not matching. It's the only part that it's not matching the serial number on the rifle, but it's basically a bolt assembly of the same era. Now moving forward, we can see the magazine and the sling swivel that is attached to it. The internal part, it's in the blank, so this rifle, it's not reblued, it's in original condition. And this is basically the barrel area, and you can see the Tula standard markings that will change when they will celebrate Peter the Great, and the Tula arsenal marking on the M1891 will change. They will basically change the markings to the so-called Tula Peter the Great that we will see in the future. I have a couple of examples to show you. Now, what is not matching the first production, any particular rifle that has been produced in 1895, it's the rear sight. So in this case, we have a Konovalov rear sight that in this case it's showing a Sestroriesk marking. You can see the arrow just just below the C, and the leaf, so at least the leaf has been produced by the Sestroriesk arsenal, and this rear sight basically has been introduced in 1908 when the Russian Imperial Army changed the ammunition to the Spitzer round, to the Spitzer kind of cartridge. So they changed obviously also the sights, and in this case the rear sight, it was introduced during this refurbishment process. And you can see also that we have a cross bolt, so there is a bolt on the stock, as you can see, and this feature as well, it's something that it was not present in 1895. So let's see those two different features in two other rifles that I have here on my table. So as I was mentioning before, we have these rifle that is still wearing a first type flat rear sight, the one that probably our rifle, our M1891 of 1895 was wearing before the refurbishment process. And then we have a rifle that has no crossbolt. And this is also something that was present on our rifle in the past when this rifle was produced. As I was mentioning before, these two are fantastic examples that I will show you in the future. I don't want to spoiler so much, so please just keep in mind we have a German captured rifle with a German bayonet adapter here. We will see in the future, and the other one, yes, it's still retaining the first type flat rear sight, but it's from 1909. So pretty weird. As I told you in the introduction to the channel, this will be probably a transitional M1891. This is how we can just yeah, categorize this example. As you can see, we have the rear barrel band that is showing the Tula hammer. The stock, it's the original one. The end guard, it's coherent with an M1895 production because the no end guard rifles, basically they ended the production of this kind of rifles with this feature the year before, so at the end of 1894. Moving forward, we have another neat characteristic of the first production. It's the sling swivel on the front barrel band that is also marked with the Tula hammer, and the sling swivel itself, it's also showing a Tula arsenal marking. You can see all the details of this rifle just visiting my website and the page that is dedicated to this rifle and all the details of this fantastic gun. So if we want to summarize the features of this rifle, here we have an M1891 Tula produced in 1895. It is showing some of the so-called early features. In particular, the stock has no sling slots on it. The sling swivel are on the magazine and the front barrel band. It's using type 2 barrel bands, and those characteristics are perfectly really matching the era of the rifle, as well as the way to stamp the serial number on the butt plate and the bolt. What is not matching, basically, it's the Konovalov rear sight and the presence of the crossbolt. So in 1895, this rifle had no crossbolt, and the rear sight was the first type flat rear sight. But to be honest, this rifle, as the majority of the M1891 in Imperial Russia, went through a refurbishment process, and this is the result of this process. So it's not really not matching the era. It's just matching the evolution through the decades that permit this rifle to be still here today after more than 100 years. So, as I told you, This is a pretty rare example. There are not so many rifles out there that are still wearing this kind of so-called early features, early production features. Now, there are no clear connection outside Imperial Russia that we can highlight when we are talking about this rifle. And this is also pretty, pretty unique. I mean, usually the rifles that we are encountering today are maybe captured rifles or not even captured. Maybe they were in Finland, for example, when Finland declared the independence. And so it seems that this rifle was not handed over to other countries after being in service with the Russian Imperial Army. The only thing that is just suggesting, a Finnish connection is the presence of small screws that are close to the barrel bands, just to maintain barrel bands in place. And this is something that Finland, it's a modification that it was usual in Finland, but it's also probably common to other countries. So, except for those little screws, we don't have any marking that is suggesting a story outside the Russian Imperial Army for this rifle. So amazing, like the fact that it's still wearing the cartouche, the Tula cartouche, still readable on the stock, and it's almost matching except for the bolt. So a very beautiful and rare rifle. It's a good way to start the channel, our reviews. And if you like this kind of content, please consider to subscribe, activate the bell. Thank you so much for being here, and see you next time on collectingmosin.com.